What if I told you that a coin sitting in your change jar right now, a coin you probably threw into a drawer without a second thought, could pay off your mortgage, send your kids to university, and still leave you enough money for a luxury vacation? I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not talking about ancient treasure from a shipwreck. I'm talking about a 1989 South African 2 Rand coin that recently changed hands for an amount so astronomical that when the buyer's identity was revealed, collectors around the world literally gasped in disbelief. Before you dismiss this as impossible, before you think your common pocket change couldn't possibly be worth more than a brand new car, you need to hear the full story. Because what makes certain 1989 2 Rand coins worth a fortune is something so subtle that thousands of people have handled these treasures and never realized they were holding life-changing wealth. The 1989 South African 2 Rand coin exists at a fascinating intersection of political turmoil, economic transformation, and numismatic rarity that creates perfect conditions for extraordinary values. To understand why this particular year and denomination matters, we need to travel back to South Africa in the late 1980s, a nation in crisis under international sanctions, experiencing massive internal upheaval and teetering on the edge of revolutionary change. The apartheid government was facing unprecedented pressure both domestically and internationally, and the economy was struggling under the weight of sanctions and disinvestment campaigns. The South African Reserve Bank and the South African Mint were dealing with practical challenges that directly affected coin production in ways that would create numismatic treasures decades later. Currency production during this period reflected the instability and uncertainty of the times, with irregular production runs, changing specifications, and quality control issues that would normally never occur under stable conditions. The 2 Rand coin itself had only been introduced in 1989, making it a newcomer to South African coinage. Prior to this, the 2 Rand denomination existed only as a banknote, but the need for more durable currency that could withstand heavy circulation in a challenging economic environment prompted the introduction of a coin version. The design features the springbok, South Africa's national animal, on the reverse side, a powerful symbol that resonated with the population and represented speed, grace, and the African landscape. The obverse displays the South African coat of arms surrounded by the country's name in 2 languages, reflecting the bilingual nature of official communications during the apartheid era. These coins were struck in a nickel-plated copper composition designed to be practical and cost-effective rather than precious metal coins like the earlier silver denominations. The initial production run in 1989 was substantial, intended to quickly establish the new denomination in circulation throughout the country. What collectors and investors need to understand is that not all 1989 2 Rand coins are created equal, and this is where the story becomes absolutely electrifying. During the production process, something extraordinary happened that created varieties so rare and sought after that finding one would be like winning a lottery you didn't know you'd entered. The South African Mint produced several different types of 1989 2 Rand coins, and the differences between them range from obvious to microscopically subtle. Standard circulation strikes were produced in massive quantities and distributed through banks and businesses nationwide. These common coins, while historically interesting, carry minimal value beyond their face worth unless they're in absolutely pristine, uncirculated condition. But alongside these ordinary coins, the Mint produced proof versions intended for collectors, struck multiple times with specially polished dies and planchets to create mirror-like surfaces and frosted design elements. These proof coins were included in annual proof sets sold to collectors, with strictly limited mintages documented in official records. The real treasure, the variety that commands prices that seem absolutely insane to anyone unfamiliar with rare coin values, is what specialists call the mule error. A mule in numismatic terminology is a coin struck with mismatched dies, typically combining the obverse or reverse from one denomination with the opposite side from a different denomination, or pairing dies from different years that should never have been used together. The 1989 2 Rand mule represents one of the most spectacular errors in modern South African numismatics, combining design elements that immediately identify it to knowledgeable collectors but might escape notice by casual observers. The specific characteristics of this error variety involve technical details about die marriages, but what matters most is that only a tiny number of these coins escaped the mint and entered circulation before the error was discovered and production halted. Some estimates suggest fewer than a dozen examples exist in private hands, though the exact number remains uncertain because not all surviving examples have been publicly documented or certified by grading services. Authentication of these extraordinary error coins requires expert examination because the differences can be subtle, and the enormous values involved have unfortunately attracted fraudsters who create artificial errors or outright counterfeits. Professional authentication through reputable grading services is absolutely mandatory for any coin potentially worth significant money. The major third-party grading companies employ specialists who have examined thousands of South African coins and can quickly identify genuine errors versus manipulated pieces. These services use a combination of visual inspection under high magnification, weight and dimension, measurements, metallurgical analysis, and comparison against reference collections of known genuine examples. Once authenticated, the coin is sealed in a tamper-evident holder with a label describing its characteristics, grade, and any special designations. This encapsulation process protects the coin from handling damage and provides assurance to future buyers that what they're purchasing is genuine and accurately described. The values that exceptional 1989 2 Rand coins achieve at auction truly boggle the mind. While common circulated examples might be worth only their face value, or perhaps a small premium if in unusually nice condition, the rare varieties command prices measured in tens of thousands of dollars, and in some cases, even more. Auction records show consistent price appreciation over the past 2 decades as awareness of these rarities has spread, and as more collectors have entered the South African coin market with serious financial resources. The international nature of rare coin collecting means that bidders from Europe, Asia, North America, and Australia compete with South African collectors for the best pieces, driving prices to levels that reflect global demand rather than just local interest. When an exceptional example appears at auction, particularly one graded at the highest levels or with documented provenance from an important collection, the bidding can become frenzied as multiple serious collectors compete for something they may never have another opportunity to acquire. Condition is absolutely critical when evaluating any coin's value, but for modern coins like the 1989 2 Rand, it becomes even more important. Unlike ancient coins where some wear and damage is expected and accepted, modern coins are judged by much stricter standards. The numerical grading scale runs from 1 to 70, with coins grading 60 or higher considered uncirculated, meaning they show no wear from circulation. At the MS65 level, a coin displays attractive luster with only minor bag marks or contact marks visible under magnification. As you move up the grading scale to MS67, MS68, or even the theoretical perfection of MS70, the requirements become increasingly stringent, and the population of coins meeting those standards drops dramatically. For proof coins, which are graded on the Proof 60 to Proof 70 scale, even a single tiny mark or spot can prevent a coin from achieving the highest grades. The difference in value between a coin grading MS65 and one grading MS68 can easily be tenfold or more, particularly for scarce varieties where high-grade examples are exceedingly rare. Finding these valuable coins requires a combination of knowledge, dedication, and luck. Some collectors have discovered treasures by carefully searching through circulation, checking every 2 Rand coin that passes through their hands, and examining it under magnification, looking for distinctive characteristics. Estate sales and inherited collections represent another potential source, as coins accumulated decades ago might include rarities that went unrecognized at the time. Coin shows and dealer inventories sometimes yield surprises when a knowledgeable buyer spots something a dealer has undervalued or misidentified. Online marketplaces have become hunting grounds where poorly photographed or inadequately described coins can be acquired far below their true value by buyers who recognize what they're looking at. The key is education and persistence, learning to identify the diagnostics that distinguish valuable varieties from common coins, and never giving up the search, even after examining thousands of ordinary examples. The historical context surrounding the 1989 2 Rand coin adds layers of interest beyond pure numismatics. This was a pivotal year in South African history, with the old apartheid order clearly entering its final phase, even though the system wouldn't officially end until the early 1990s. Nelson Mandela was still imprisoned, but would be released the following year, beginning the transformation that would lead to democratic elections in 1994. Economic sanctions were causing serious hardship, and the government was struggling to maintain both domestic stability and international trade relationships. Currency and coinage from this period serve as tangible artifacts from a society in transition, physical objects that passed through the hands of people living through extraordinary times. For historians and collectors interested in material culture, these coins represent more than just numismatic items, but rather pieces of a larger historical narrative about political change, economic stress, and social transformation. Investment considerations for rare coins like valuable 1989 2 Rand pieces involve different calculations than traditional financial investments. Rare coins have historically shown strong appreciation over long time periods, often outperforming inflation and providing portfolio diversification. The tangible nature of coins appeals to investors who want assets they can hold, rather than electronic entries in an account. However, the rare coin market lacks the liquidity and transparency of regulated securities markets, and selling a particular coin requires finding a buyer willing to pay fair market value, which may take time. Transaction costs, including dealer commissions, auction fees, and grading expenses, can be substantial. Storage and insurance add ongoing costs for valuable holdings. Despite these considerations, many sophisticated investors include rare coins in diversified portfolios, viewing them as alternative assets that don't correlate with stock and bond markets and can provide stability during economic uncertainty or currency devaluation. The technical aspects of coin production help explain how errors occur and why certain varieties become collectible. Dies used to strike coins are complex pieces of machining that receive enormous stress during the minting process. Each die can typically produce hundreds of thousands of coins before deteriorating beyond acceptable standards, but during that production life, various changes occur. Early die-state coins show sharp details and crisp strikes, while late die-state examples display evidence of die wear, polished lines, clash marks, or developing cracks. Die cracks create raised lines on coins corresponding to the crack in the die, and these can be tracked through progressive stages as the crack develops. Doubled dies occur when the die receives multiple impressions during its creation, with slight offset between impressions creating a doubled appearance in parts of the design. Off-center strikes happen when the planche isn't properly centered between the dies during striking, leaving part of the design missing and usually showing a curved blank area. Wrong planche errors involve coins struck on blanks intended for different denominations, creating coins with incorrect weight, size, or composition. Market dynamics for South African coins have evolved significantly over recent decades as the political transformation of the country opened new opportunities for international trade and collecting. During the apartheid era, many countries imposed sanctions that affected cultural goods, including coins, and collectors outside South Africa had difficulty acquiring material. The democratic transition removed these barriers, and South African coins became more widely traded internationally. Simultaneously, economic growth in South Africa created a new class of affluent collectors able to pay premium prices for rarities. The combination of increased domestic demand and improved international access created rising prices for the best material. Online platforms eliminated geographic barriers further, allowing buyers and sellers worldwide to connect easily. This globalization of the South African coin market means that truly exceptional pieces now achieve prices reflecting their international appeal rather than just local interest, which generally means higher values than would prevail in a purely domestic market. Preservation and storage become critical concerns once you realize you might own a valuable coin. The enemies of coin preservation include physical handling, environmental contamination, chemical reactions, temperature extremes, and moisture. Coins should be stored in holders made from inert materials that won't react with the coin's metal over time. The old practice of storing coins in paper envelopes or cardboard holders is now recognized as potentially damaging because paper contains chemicals that can cause toning or corrosion over decades. Modern coin holders use mylar, PVC-free vinyl, or other stable plastics. Climate control helps prevent environmental damage, with moderate temperatures and low humidity ideal. Coins should never be cleaned using abrasive methods, as this destroys original surfaces and can reduce value catastrophically. Even a coin that appears dirty or toned should be left alone, as collectors typically prefer original surfaces over artificially cleaned ones. If you discover you might own a valuable 1989 2 Rand coin, resist any temptation to improve its appearance and handle it only by the edges while wearing cotton gloves. The grading standards applied to modern coins like the 1989 2 Rand reflect the fact that collectors expect higher quality from recent issues compared to ancient or medieval coins. Because modern minting technology produces coins of consistently high quality, any defects or imperfections count more heavily against the final grade. A mark that might be overlooked on a centuries-old coin becomes significant on a modern piece. The highest grades represent true condition rarities, coins that have survived in absolutely pristine state despite the passage of decades. These condition rarities often command significant premiums because serious collectors compete to own the finest known examples of particular issues. Registry sets, where collectors publicly compete to assemble the highest graded set of a particular series, have driven demand for top-grade modern coins to unprecedented levels. Some collectors will pay multiples of the price for the next grade, down to upgrade a single coin in their registry, set by just one grading point. Building expertise in South African coinage requires study, observation, and engagement with the collecting community. Reference books provide essential information about mintages, varieties, and historical context. Online resources including dealer websites, auction archives, and collector forums offer current market information and images of authentic coins for comparison. Attending coin shows allows you to handle coins and discuss them with experienced collectors and dealers. Joining numismatic societies provides access to specialized knowledge and connections with serious collectors. Many cities have local coin clubs where beginners can meet experienced collectors willing to share knowledge. The learning process never really ends because new discoveries continue, new varieties are identified, and market dynamics constantly evolve. Even experts with decades of experience continue learning throughout their collecting careers. The excitement of discovering a valuable coin is something every collector experiences at some point, and it's one of the driving forces that keeps people engaged with numismatics. That moment of realization when you understand you're holding something genuinely rare and valuable produces a thrill that's hard to match. Whether you inherited coins from a relative, purchased them years ago without fully understanding what you had, or found them through persistent searching, the discovery becomes a story you'll tell repeatedly. For some people, this experience launches a lifelong passion for numismatics. Others remain focused on the financial aspect, viewing coins purely as investments rather than objects of aesthetic or historical interest. Both approaches are completely valid, and the coin market accommodates collectors motivated by passion and investors motivated by profit. Regional availability affects value significantly for coins like the 1989 2 Rand. While these coins circulated widely within South Africa, they're quite scarce in other parts of the world. International collectors often struggle to source South African material, particularly specific dates or varieties. This international scarcity creates opportunities for arbitrage, where coins purchased in South Africa at local market rates can be sold internationally for substantial premiums. Conversely, South African collectors sometimes find that acquiring coins from international sources costs more than buying domestically. Currency exchange rates add another variable, as the relative strength of the South African Rand versus other currencies affects the real cost of coins when buying across borders. Online platforms have partially equalized these geographic price discrepancies by making it easy to buy from anywhere, but shipping costs, customs duties, and import regulations still create friction that maintains some price variations between markets. Documentation and provenance add value to exceptional coins beyond their intrinsic rarity and condition. A coin with documented history of ownership by famous collectors, inclusion in museum exhibits, or publication in reference works carries additional appeal for serious numismatists. Auction catalogs serve as permanent records, and coins described in these publications acquire pedigrees that follow them through subsequent sales. For truly exceptional pieces, particularly those that rank among the finest known examples of their type, this documented history becomes part of the coin's story and contributes to its value. Collectors willingly pay premiums to own coins with distinguished pedigrees, viewing them as pieces of numismatic history rather than simply examples of particular issues. The most important collections are remembered for decades after their dispersal, and coins from these collections carry their names as permanent designations. Technology has revolutionized numismatics in ways that particularly benefit collectors of modern coins, like the 1989 Rand. High-resolution digital photography allows detailed examination of coins without handling them, and online images can reveal features that would require magnification to see on a physical coin. Grading services maintain online databases showing images and descriptions of every coin they've graded, allowing collectors to research population data and view other examples. Online auctions provide access to material that would previously have been available only to collectors who could attend in-person auctions in major cities. Forums and social media groups create communities where collectors worldwide share information, discuss varieties, and help identify questionable pieces. Video. Content on platforms like this one provides educational resources that would have been impossible to access just a generation ago. For someone discovering they might own a valuable coin, these technological tools offer unprecedented research capabilities. The future outlook for valuable South African coins remains strong based on fundamental supply and demand factors. The coins themselves have fixed populations that can only decrease over time through loss, damage, or attrition. Meanwhile, new collectors constantly enter the market, creating ongoing demand for quality material. Economic development in emerging markets brings new buyers with substantial purchasing power into international numismatic markets. Wealthy collectors from Asia, the Middle East, and other regions increasingly compete for important rarities, bringing fresh capital and competitive bidding. These dynamics suggest continued strength for genuinely scarce material in top condition. Whether prices will maintain their recent rate of appreciation or stabilize depends on many unpredictable factors, including economic conditions, competing investment opportunities, and generational changes in collecting preferences. But the fundamental scarcity of genuinely rare coins provides a solid foundation for long-term value. Market cycles affect coin values like any collectible market, with periods of strong appreciation followed by corrections or plateaus. The rare coin market experienced significant growth during the early 2000s, then contracted during the 2008 financial crisis before resuming growth in subsequent years. These cycles reflect broader economic conditions, changes in precious metal prices, and shifts in collector demographics. Long-term holders who weather these cycles typically see appreciation, while short-term traders may experience volatility. Understanding that markets move in cycles helps collectors and investors maintain perspective during both boom periods and corrections. For truly rare material in top condition, even during market corrections, prices tend to remain relatively stable because serious collectors continue competing for the best pieces regardless of broader market conditions. The community aspect of coin collecting provides benefits beyond the financial or aesthetic appreciation of coins themselves. Collectors form friendships with others who share their passion, often lasting decades. The social dimension of attending shows, participating in club meetings, and engaging in online forums enriches the hobby considerably. Experienced collectors generally welcome newcomers and willingly share knowledge, creating a culture of mentorship and mutual support. Some of the most satisfying aspects of collecting involve sharing discoveries with others who truly understand their significance, debating attributions of difficult varieties, or collaborating on research projects that advance numismatic knowledge. This community dimension makes collecting more than just an individual pursuit, but rather participation in a worldwide fellowship of enthusiasts. The psychological appeal of collecting involves elements that go beyond rational economic calculation. The thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of completing a set, the aesthetic pleasure of beautiful objects, the intellectual challenge of learning complex information, and the connection to history all contribute to collecting's appeal. Different collectors emphasize different aspects, with some focused primarily on investment returns, while others care mainly about the historical or artistic dimensions. Many collectors find that their focus evolves over time, perhaps starting with an emphasis on completing sets, but gradually shifting toward quality over quantity, or specializing in particular areas that hold personal meaning. Understanding your own motivations helps you make decisions that align with your goals and maximize satisfaction from the hobby. Authentication challenges for modern coins differ from those for ancient pieces in important ways. Modern coins have precise specifications for weight, diameter, thickness, and composition that can be measured and compared against documented standards. Deviations from these specifications immediately raise red flags. The quality of striking and surface characteristics of modern coins follow predictable patterns based on minting technology of their era. Counterfeiters face challenges replicating these subtle features, though sophisticated fakes continue to appear. The existence of certified examples creates a comparison standard, as grading services maintain image databases showing known genuine coins. For high-value pieces, advanced techniques including X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy can analyze metal composition non-destructively, and microscopic examination can reveal features impossible to replicate convincingly. Despite these tools, authentication remains challenging for some pieces, and consulting multiple experts before making major purchases is always advisable. If you believe you have a valuable 1989 2-rand coin, the process of determining its worth and deciding what to do with it should be approached methodically. Begin by carefully examining the coin under magnification, comparing it against images of known varieties in reference materials or online resources. Document what you have with clear photographs of both sides, edge views, and any distinctive features. Research recent sales of comparable coins to understand current market values. Consider whether professional grading would be worthwhile given potential value, keeping in mind that grading costs money but can dramatically increase marketability for valuable coins. Consult with multiple reputable dealers to get different opinions, but be aware that dealers buying for inventory will offer wholesale prices below retail market value. Consider auction consignment for truly valuable pieces, as auction exposure to serious collectors often produces the strongest prices. Join online collector communities where experienced members can offer guidance and answer questions. Take your time rather than rushing to sell, as patience typically results in better outcomes. The transformation of South African society since 1989 adds poignant context to coins from that era. These were the final years of apartheid, a system that would soon be dismantled through negotiations that many thought impossible. The coins themselves passed through the hands of people living through this extraordinary transformation, used for everyday transactions, even as society underwent revolutionary change. Today, looking at these coins connects us to that pivotal moment in history, serving as tangible reminders of how far the country has traveled. For collectors interested in historical material culture, South African coins from this transitional period hold special significance beyond their numismatic characteristics. They represent not just currency, but artifacts from a society in the process of fundamental reinvention. Remember that extraordinary coins hide in ordinary places, overlooked by people who don't know what they're seeing. That 1989 2-rand coin you've ignored for decades might represent wealth that could change your life. The difference between treating it as worthless pocket change and recognizing it as a rare treasure depends entirely on knowledge. This is why education matters so much in numismatics, why experienced collectors study constantly, and why sharing information benefits everyone in the community. Your change jar, your inherited coin collection, that box of foreign coins someone gave you years ago. Any of these could contain something extraordinary. The only way to know is to look carefully, educate yourself about what makes coins valuable, and examine everything with attention to detail. The coin market continues evolving as new generations of collectors enter with different preferences and priorities. Younger collectors often emphasize different aspects than their predecessors, perhaps valuing coins more for artistic merit or historical significance than pure rarity. Digital tools and online communities have changed how people engage with the hobby, making information and market access more democratic than ever before. These changes generally benefit the hobby by attracting new participants and creating additional demand for quality material. As long as people remain fascinated by history, attracted to beautiful objects, and interested in tangible stores of value, rare coins will continue attracting collectors and investors. The specific coins that command premium prices may shift as tastes evolve, but genuinely rare material in top condition has maintained value across generations. Now you understand why that seemingly ordinary 1989 South African 2 Rand coin could be worth more than you ever imagined. You know what characteristics create value, how to identify potential treasures, and why authentication and condition matter so critically. Most importantly, you realize that valuable coins are still out there waiting to be discovered, overlooked by countless people who don't know what they're seeing. Check your old coins carefully, examine everything you come across, and never assume something is worthless just because it looks ordinary at first glance. If you found this information valuable and want to discover more coins that could be worth serious money hiding in plain sight, subscribe to this channel right now, smash that like button, and share this video with anyone who might have old coins they haven't examined carefully. Your support allows us to continue bringing you content about hidden numismatic treasures, and the next video might reveal that you're sitting on another fortune. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update about valuable coins, and leave a comment telling us about any interesting South African coins you've found or owned. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and remember that your next life-changing discovery might already be sitting in your pocket or desk drawer waiting for you to recognize its true value.